Imagine this deep in the parts of yourself you'd rather keep hidden. There's a fire burning, a fire of desire, of longing, something that could either destroy you or set you free. What if I told you that this very fire is the key to truly understanding yourself? Would you dare to face your fear and reach for it? Welcome to the journey of self-discovery. Have you ever wondered why a single glance or a fleeting moment of desire can make your heart race shaking, even your biggest life choices? Or why, even when your mind screams, I shouldn't, some deeper part of you pushes you toward it anyway? Carl Jung, the great psychologist of the 20th century, believed sexuality isn't just a biological need. To him, it's the language of the unconscious, a powerful archetypal energy. It shows up in dreams, myths, and secret obsessions as a reminder of the parts of you that remain unseen. Jung believed that desire, when repressed, can turn into chains that bind you. But if understood, it can be transformed into creativity, freedom, and profound personal growth. Ask yourself this: how many times have you fallen into an intense, inexplicable love? How many times have you thought you'd found your destined soulmate, only to have the illusion shatter when they turned out to be imperfect? Jung called this projection. When you project parts of your unconscious anima, animus onto others, searching outside yourself for what's missing within. This is exactly why we need to understand the difference between two major views of sexuality. Freud saw libido as pure sexual energy, the root of behaviors and neuroses. Jung expanded libido into life energy, the driving force behind everything we do, loving, creating, seeking meaning, and growing spiritually. This is a crucial point many overlook. Jung didn't deny Freud, but added a deeper dimension: the spiritual, mythological, and symbolic layer. Look at Jung's own life. In 1913, at the peak of his career, he experienced a profound crisis, terrifying dreams of floods engulfing Europe. In Memories, Dreams, Reflections, he described how these dreams convinced him a great war was coming. World War I broke out soon after, but more importantly, they forced him to confront his shadow, the parts of himself he had rejected. This crisis led Jung to embark on his active imagination practice, recording his inner dialogues in the Red Book, which laid the foundation for his theories on archetypes, the collective unconscious, and individuation. Through this, Jung discovered that if desire is merely suppressed, it breeds fear, guilt, and dysfunctional behaviors. But if we listen and interpret it as a symbol, it can lead us on the journey of individuation, where we face our shadow, encounter our anima, animus, and learn to become whole. To make this clearer, imagine a man irresistibly drawn to perfect muses, but repeatedly crushed when they don't match his idealized image. In Jungian analysis, that's a sign of an unintegrated anima. Or consider a woman who keeps searching for a strong, leading man, only to end up hurt because she's seeking her animus in others instead of herself. This isn't just about romance. It's about how sexuality, libido, reveals our psychological wounds, our inner voids, and our potential for growth if we have the courage to look within. As Jung said, what you deny dominates you. What you accept transforms you. In this video, we'll dive into the deepest layers of ourselves, starting with sexuality. Why does it hold such immense power over the human psyche? How does the shadow turn desire into chains? And most importantly, how can we transform desire into creative energy, true love, and inner freedom? But first, tell me, when was the last time you felt your desire taking control of you? Leave your answer in the comments, because it's only when we dare to name the darkness that we can start to bring it into the light. Get ready, because in the next part, we'll explore how Carl Jung understood sexuality as a powerful archetype and how it's directly connected to the journey of becoming your truest self, the journey of individuation. If you asked Carl Jung what the most powerful force driving human behavior is, he'd say libido. Not just sexuality, but life energy, the current that fuels passion, love, and ambition. But when repressed, it becomes an underground stream threatening to break everything apart. Picture libido as an abundant spring. When guided well, it nourishes the fields of your soul, birthing creativity and inspiration. But if blocked by fear or shame, It builds up, then bursts through your inner dams, sweeping you into self-destructive patterns. Look at life. An artist devastated by unrequited love transforms pain into paintings, poems, music, like Frida Kahlo. That's libido sublimated, turning longing into creativity. Or an entrepreneur crushed by heartbreak channels every ounce of energy into a startup, transforming wounds into drive. Libido redirected. Have you ever wondered what's truly pushing you to keep running? Jung called this the transformation of libido, the process of turning raw desire into a force for growth. And this isn't reserved for geniuses. Every one of us, whether a student, a worker, or a mother, can do it. All it takes is the courage to ask, what do I truly need? Who am I chasing? Or what am I avoiding within myself? According to Jung, it's a lack of awareness that turns libido into darkness. When we believe desire is only for gratification, it controls us. But if we realize that beneath that craving lies fear of abandonment or a yearning for love, libido becomes a conscious ally. Have you ever asked yourself whether you're avoiding or facing your deepest desires? Jung once told the story of a student caught in endless, short-lived affairs, only to feel empty afterward. Instead of telling him to suppress or indulge his urges, Jung asked, "What are you really looking for?" It was only when the student realized it was a longing for acceptance that he transformed his libido into a passion for learning, writing, and helping others. That's libido illuminated by awareness. Try this now. Write down moments when you felt obsessed or overwhelmed by desire. Then ask yourself, what do I really want? Face your emotions head on. Do you feel shame, anger, excitement? All of these are clues to the root of your longing. Try to transform it. Draw, write, or create anything to channel that energy into something positive. Remember, libido isn't limited to sex. It's in everything you pour your heart into: a chef crafting dishes, a scientist dedicated to research, a father giving his all for his child. All are directing their libido. And you're not alone. Share your story. How have you turned pain into motivation? Comment below so we can learn, connect, and heal together. Because sharing strips darkness of its power. Imagine a community where everyone dares to face their hidden desires, turning sexuality into light art understanding. That's what we're building here together. In the next part, we'll dive into the shadow, the dark part of the soul that can turn libido into chains when misunderstood. Stay tuned, because you might see yourself reflected in the stories of the shadow coming up. If libido is the energy source, then the shadow is the deepest dark place where that energy can turn into chains. According to Carl Jung, the shadow isn't just the bad or evil side we imagine. It includes everything in ourselves we deny, reject, or fear. The things we don't want anyone to see, sometimes not even ourselves. Have you ever wondered why you get irrationally angry with someone? Or why you obsessively criticize a certain behavior in others? Jung said that what triggers the strongest reactions in us about others often reflects a shadow we haven't recognized in ourselves. Think of the times you've called someone selfish, weak, or arrogant. Those very traits might exist in you, but because you can't accept them, your shadow pushes them outwards, making you see them everywhere, but in yourself. This is projection, the shadow's way of hiding from consciousness while still controlling your behavior. In therapy, Jung witnessed countless similar stories. One man was extremely rigid and furious at any sign of messiness, constantly angry when people broke the rules. Through analysis, he realized he deeply craved freedom, but was terrified of it, so he forced himself into strict order. And his shadow turned that suppressed desire into harsh judgment of others. Ask yourself, what traits in others make you most uncomfortable? Could it be something you've disowned in yourself? The shadow doesn't only show up through anger or hatred, but also in dreams. Jung said dreams of snakes, darkness, strangers, or nightmares of being chased are signs the shadow is knocking on consciousness, demanding recognition. But if we ignore it, the shadow finds other outlets: addiction, violence, self-harm, or repeating destructive relationships. However, Jung didn't see the shadow as an enemy, On the contrary, he called it a stern teacher. The shadow holds hidden treasures, talents, passions, confidence we suppressed out of fear of judgment, rejection, or disapproval. Only when we're willing to look at the shadow to dialogue with it can we reclaim those buried strengths. Imagine an artist whose family dismissed his passion, so he buried his urge to create, becoming a lifeless office worker. The more he denied it, the more lost and depressed he became. Only by facing his shadow, the part that wanted to create despite the risks, did he find the courage to pursue art and rediscover life's meaning. Or a woman who always acted perfect living to please everyone. Her shadow was anger repressed since childhood when she had to endure unfair scolding. That anger didn't disappear. It simmered until it burst out as depression or panic attacks. Only when she learned to acknowledge her anger and saw it stem from her fear of abandonment did she start saying no, setting boundaries, and living honestly. Jung's lesson was clear: the shadow isn't something to destroy, but to understand, dialogue with, and integrate into consciousness. Because what we deny controls us, what we accept sets us free. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So how can you start facing your shadow? Observe your intense reactions to others who or what triggers your anger, disgust, or irrational fear. That could be a clue to your shadow. Keep an emotion journal when you feel provoked. Ask yourself what fear hides beneath this feeling. Practice active imagination. Picture yourself talking to your shadow. Let it speak freely. Don't judge, just listen. You may uncover surprising desires, pains, or hidden needs. Seek support if needed. The shadow often links to old wounds, and it can be overwhelming to face alone. Reach out to someone you trust or a professional therapist if it feels like too much. And most importantly, remember, you're not alone. Everyone has a shadow. Everyone has feared parts of themselves. Share with us, when was the last time you recognized your own shadow? Comment below so we can learn, heal, and grow together. Because by sharing, we strip the darkness of its power. In the next part, we'll explore the most powerful archetypal images driving love and desire: anima and animus. The idealized figures our unconscious seeks, often leading us into passionate but fragile relationships. Don't miss it, because you'll gain deeper insight into how these inner images shape your love life choices and personal growth journey. When we talk about the shadow, few realize its strongest domain is sexuality. Carl Jung believed desire and the shadow always go hand in hand, because sexuality is the area most burdened by shame and guilt imposed by society, family, and even ourselves, making it the easiest to repress into the unconscious. And when it's suppressed, the shadow in sexuality seeks distorted ways to express itself, often through extreme behaviors. Think of someone who publicly champions strict moral values, constantly preaching against sex, but secretly struggles with porn addiction or engages in secret affairs. They're a vivid example of the shadow-denied sexual impulses turning destructive, forcing them to live a double life full of guilt and inner conflict. Or the sex addict, not because they're naturally oversexed, but because they're desperately trying to fill an emotional void: fear of abandonment, feelings of worthlessness, childhood wounds. Each fleeting affair is a temporary escape, but the emptiness only deepens. That's the shadow rising, demanding recognition. Jung said the shadow is the harshest teacher. It won't let you ignore it forever. Whether you mask it with moral facades or drown it in pleasure, it will keep knocking, urging you to face yourself. The more you deny it, the stronger it grows. Ask yourself, could the things you loathe in others, especially regarding sexuality, actually reflect what you fear in yourself? The shadow in sexuality doesn't just sabotage relationships, it can drive self-destruction. For example, a man terrified of seeming weak might obsessively prove his masculinity by conquering women, spiraling into sex addiction and the thrill of winning. Yet beneath it all, his shadow is the fear of vulnerability and not being loved for his true self. Or a woman raised to believe sex is dirty might grow up too ashamed to express desire, stuck in a cold marriage. But repression doesn't erase longing. It shows up as nightmares, recurring erotic dreams, or explosive affairs she doesn't even understand herself. That's the shadow of repressed desire demanding to be seen. Jung didn't see sexuality as evil. He saw it as a symbol of life force and creativity. The problem only begins when it's ruled by the shadow. The solution isn't suppression or indulgence, but awareness. What am I really craving? Does this craving come from a genuine need or from fear and old wounds? To start freeing your sexual shadow, write down moments when you felt shame, fear, or obsession around sex. Ask yourself, where did this fear come from? Who planted it? Is it still true for who you are today? Face it instead of judging it. The shadow doesn't disappear if you ignore it. It dissolves when you listen. Remember, you're not alone. Share your story. How have you recognized the shadow in your sexuality? Leave a comment, because when we dare to speak, we not only heal ourselves, but also strengthen our community. In the next part, we'll explore anima and animus, the archetypal images in the unconscious that shape the types of love you're drawn to, how you idealize partners, and how to break free from these invisible patterns. Don't miss it, because you'll gain deeper insight into the relationships that have hurt you and why. When we fall in love, many of us believe we found our perfect other half. But Carl Jung pointed out, often we don't love the real person, we fall in love with our own inner anima or animus projected onto them. This confusion easily leads us into intense but ultimately doomed relationships. Anima, the inner feminine image in men, and animus, the inner masculine image in women, are formed in childhood, usually rooted in our experiences with our parents. For example, a boy raised by an overprotective mother may develop an idealized anima, a woman who always nurtures him. As an adult, he might feel drawn to controlling women or feel deeply disappointed when partners don't meet that expectation. A classic example is the story of Oedipus. When a mother's image dominates the unconscious, it can drive unhealthy, even destructive romantic choices. Jung observed thousands of people repeating this cycle in real life, seeking partners to fill the parental void, unconsciously recreating the same old wounds. This isn't just myth. Think of Norman Bates in Psycho, raised by a domineering mother. His inability to separate from her idealized image led to murderous, dissociative madness. While extreme, it powerfully illustrates how dangerous animus can be when left unconscious. Jung said we cannot truly love another until we understand our own anima or animus. Without integration, we love to find what we lack inside ourselves, not for who the other person truly is. Ask yourself, what recurring traits do you find irresistible in partners? Could they mirror unconscious images of your parents? When you become aware you can love more maturely, men stop searching for an ideal mother and learn to care for their own emotions. Women stop needing a savior and cultivate inner confidence. For example, a successful businesswoman kept falling for domineering, controlling men, repeating the pattern of her strict father. Only when she faced her animus did she learn to set boundaries and break free from toxic relationships. To start integrating your animus, write down the qualities you're most drawn to in the opposite sex. Ask yourself, is this a genuine need or a part of myself I need to develop? Pay attention to your dreams. Anima, short animus, often appear as mysterious, captivating characters of the opposite sex. Remember, everyone has an anima or animus. Recognizing them helps you break free from painful relationship patterns and love from a place of wholeness. Share with us, have you ever realized you were idealizing a partner based on your parents' image? Comment below so we can learn, grow, and break free together. In the next part, we'll dive into archetypes, ancient patterns like the mother, the hero, the villain, collective unconscious forces that shape communities and societies, explaining why humanity repeats cycles of conflict, love, and tragedy across generations. Don't miss it, because this is the key to understanding yourself and the world more deeply. You've heard about libido, the shadow, and anima, shy animus. But how do you actually begin the healing journey? Jung believed knowledge must lead to lived experience. By dialoguing with your unconscious, you'll move closer to individuation, becoming your truest, most complete self. Step 1. Observe strong emotions. The shadow reveals itself most clearly when you overreact: anger, jealousy, shame. Each time these feelings arise, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Why does this hurt me so deeply? For example, if you explode when someone criticizes you, your shadow might carry childhood wounds of feeling useless. Step 2. Keep a shadow journal. Spend 10 minutes each night writing about moments you felt angry, sad, or ashamed during the day. Any unacceptable thoughts you tried to deny. This brings the shadow's content into consciousness, helping you stop it from secretly controlling you. Step 3. Meditate on emotions. Sit still, breathe deeply, and imagine your negative emotions as clouds drifting through your mind. Remind yourself, I am not this emotion, I am observing it. For example, if rejection makes you feel sad, sit with the sadness instead of pushing it away to understand your shadow's fear of abandonment. Step 4. Active imagination. When a dream or persistent obsession arises, set aside 5 to 10 minutes to close your eyes and visualize yourself talking to that image. Ask, who are you? What are you here to teach me? Write down the answers, even if they seem illogical. For instance, if you dream of a black snake, it could symbolize a shadow aspect you fear, like suppressed anger. Remember, no one completes shadow work overnight. It's a lifelong journey, but each time you bravely acknowledge your shadow, you step closer to inner freedom. Share with us, how are you ready to start your shadow work? Have you ever tried journaling, meditating, or active imagination? By sharing, you'll inspire hundreds of others who are searching for their own way forward. In the next video, we'll explore archetypes, ancient patterns like the hero, the villain, the mother, how they silently shape society and profoundly influence your personal growth journey. Don't miss it, because archetypes are the final key to understanding yourself and the world. When you've dared to examine your libido, face your shadow, and understand your anima and animus, you've taken the first steps on the journey of self-discovery. It's a path that doesn't promise ease, but it's always worth it. As Jung once said, there is no enlightenment without first facing the darkness. It's in the parts we fear most that we find our greatest treasure, our true selves. After watching this video, you might still feel confused, overwhelmed, or even in pain as you revisit old memories and fears you once tried to bury. That's a good sign. It means you've begun awakening your awareness, no longer letting your shadow unconsciously control you. Congratulate yourself for having the courage to listen and face these parts of yourself. But remember, you don't have to walk this path alone. Here in this community, thousands of people are also learning to understand themselves, heal, and become freer human beings. Share your thoughts. What part of today's video touched you the most? Comment below so we can have a dialogue and illuminate each other's darkness together. Every comment you make not only helps you take another step forward, but also lights the way for someone else, someone who might need encouragement or a reminder they're not alone. And if you found this video valuable, hit subscribe, because this journey doesn't end here. We have many more adventures ahead, exploring the archetypes that shape humanity, understanding the collective unconscious, and learning to integrate every piece of your soul. Become part of this community where every share, every perspective is welcomed and cherished. Think about all the dreams, obsessions, and repeated mistakes in love, work, and life. They're not signs of weakness, but messages from your unconscious calling your awareness, inviting you to pause, listen, learn, and grow. Make a promise to yourself: I will no longer fear the darkness within me. Because light doesn't come from denying the darkness, but from recognizing it, touching it, and then moving through it with understanding. If you do just one thing today, start by asking yourself, what am I avoiding within myself? What do I truly long for? What am I willing to change to live more authentically? Keep this video as a companion. Whenever you feel lost, come back to remind yourself you're on the journey of becoming your true self, no longer playing roles to meet others' expectations. And if you want to dive deeper in the next video, we'll explore archetypes, ancient patterns like the hero, the villain, the mother, the wanderer, and how they shape your family, society, and your own life story. That will be the final piece, helping you see the full picture of your soul. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Don't forget to like, share with someone who might need this, and subscribe. Let's make this journey not just yours alone, but a flame spreading to every soul longing for freedom and truth.